Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to introduce you to today's presentation, The Survival Guide to Conflict in Relationships. We'll explore how conflict isn't necessarily the enemy of love, but how poor management of it can be. Many people think that fighting shows weakness, but the truth is, disagreements are natural and inevitable. What really matters is how we handle those disagreements. Without healthy communication and conflict resolution skills, relationships can gradually weaken, becoming more like roommates than lovers. Over the next few minutes, we'll look at strategies to navigate conflict in a way that strengthens your connection. So let's get started. Why conflict matters more than you might think is something I've learned through experience. In my own marriage, I mishandled conflict for years, and I can tell you, the patterns of defensiveness, criticism, and avoidance almost tore us apart. It was only when we sought counseling and made a conscious effort that we started to rebuild trust and connection. What I want to share with you today isn't just theory. It's a practical survival guide for keeping love alive, especially when conflict happens. When partners fail to resolve their conflicts, they often send each other very dangerous messages without even realizing it. For example, they might convey that your feelings don't matter, or you can't rely on me when you're hurting, or even it's not safe to be vulnerable with me. These messages, repeated over time, create distance, resentment, and mistrust. And there's a deeper layer to this. Dr. Sue Johnson, a leading expert on attachment, explains that beneath almost every argument lies a fundamental question. Do you really care about me? And can I rely on you when I'm hurting? If the answer to that feels like no, then the relationship is already at risk. So, understanding these underlying messages and questions is crucial in navigating conflict in a healthy way. Let's talk about the 4 poisons of conflict, a concept from Dr. John Gottman's extensive research. He found that these 4 behaviors can predict divorce with remarkable accuracy, up to 90%. First is criticism, which is when we attack our partner's character instead of focusing on the actual issue at hand. It's easy to slip into blaming, but that only pushes us further apart. Next is contempt, which involves expressing disrespect or a sense of superiority through sarcasm, insults, or even eye-rolling. Contempt is especially damaging because it erodes respect and trust over time. Then we have defensiveness, where instead of taking responsibility, we counterattack or make excuses. This defensiveness shuts down communication and makes resolution impossible. Finally, stonewalling happens when one withdraws, shuts down, or simply goes silent to avoid the conflict. While everyone might slip into these behaviors occasionally, allowing them to become habits can be destructive. They create disconnection rather than repair, and over time, they erode trust and intimacy in the relationship. Recognizing these poisons is a crucial step toward healthier, more constructive conflict management. When we talk about shifting the mindset around conflict, the key idea is to see it not as something to avoid, but as an opportunity for growth and connection. The goal isn't to eliminate disagreements altogether, but to transform them into moments that bring us closer. Healthy conflict actually creates space to reassure our partners that their feelings truly matter. It's a chance to repair emotional ruptures before they turn into resentment that can really damage the relationship over time. By responding thoughtfully to vulnerability, we can strengthen intimacy instead of letting misunderstandings drive us apart. The most important concept here is moving from a defensive stance, where we feel attacked, or shut down, to one of curiosity, where we genuinely want to understand. It's about shifting from blame to taking ownership of our part, which opens the door to genuine resolution. And instead of reacting with fear, we create a sense of safety, making it easier to navigate tough moments together. This is all about changing our approach, seeing conflict as a pathway to closeness, not a barrier. When we do that, we foster a healthier, more resilient bond that can grow stronger through every challenge. When you're about to bring up a complaint, it's really important to start with consideration. Ask yourself, is now a good time to talk? This helps set a respectful tone. Next, acknowledge the positive. For example, you might say, I appreciate how hard you've been working. Recognizing the good things helps create a more open environment. Then focus on expressing your feelings rather than making accusations. Instead of saying, you don't care about me, try saying, I feel neglected when you spend every evening on your laptop. This way, you're sharing how you feel without blaming, which encourages understanding. It's also crucial to stay specific and focus on one issue at a time. Don't unload weeks of frustration all at once. Instead, keep it targeted. This approach communicates vulnerability without blame, making it easier for your partner to respond with care rather than defensiveness. These tools are about creating a healthy space for conflict, one where both of you feel heard and respected. By approaching conflicts thoughtfully, you build stronger, more trusting relationships. When you're on the receiving end of a complaint, it's really important to focus on listening to understand, rather than listening to defend yourself. This means really hearing what the other person is saying without jumping in to justify your actions right away. Instead, try to validate their feelings. Let them know you see how they're feeling. For example, you might say, "I can see why you'd feel that way." This shows empathy and helps create a safe space for open communication. Avoid invalidating their experience by dismissing their feelings or saying things like, "You're overreacting." That kind of response can make someone feel unsafe about sharing honestly. Instead, ask follow-up questions to show curiosity and genuinely want to understand more. Questions like, "What led you to feel that way?" help deepen the conversation. Even if you disagree with their interpretation of the situation, it's still possible and important to acknowledge their emotions as valid. This approach not only helps de-escalate conflict, but also aligns with the overall goal of healthy communication, building trust and understanding, even in difficult moments. Now, let's talk about setting boundaries around conflict. Healthy couples often agree in advance on what's acceptable and what's not during disagreements. This helps create a safe space for both people. For example, one boundary might be no yelling or name-calling. That way, we avoid escalating the situation and damaging each other's self-esteem. Another important boundary is not walking away without agreeing to come back and finish the conversation. It keeps us committed to resolving issues rather than avoiding them. We also want to steer clear of dismissing or mocking each other's feelings, because that can really harm trust and intimacy. Remember, boundaries are not about controlling each other. They're about protecting the safety and emotional well-being of the relationship. When we set these clear guidelines, it helps ensure conflicts stay constructive and don't spiral out of control. Ultimately, these boundaries support our overall goal of building a healthier, more respectful partnership. Let's talk about practical tools for maintaining healthy conflict. First, take timeouts when you're flooded. When emotions run high, our nervous system switches into fight or flight mode, which means the parts of our brain responsible for empathy and reasoning basically shut down. It's important to recognize the signs, like a racing heart, a raised voice, or a flushed face, and in those moments, say something like, "I care about this conversation too much to let it turn into a fight. Let's take 30 minutes and come back." Remember, taking a timeout is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of maturity and self-awareness. Next, practice ongoing repair. Resolving conflict isn't just about saying sorry. It's about actively repairing the relationship. That means taking responsibility for your part, validating your partner's feelings, and asking what they need to feel reassured. For example, you might say, "I didn't intend to hurt you, but I see how I did. I'm sorry. What can I do right now to help us reconnect?" This kind of repair builds trust over time. Without it, small hurts can pile up, leading to resentment that can undermine the relationship long-term. So these tools, taking timeouts and practicing ongoing repair, are vital in creating a space for healthy, constructive conflict. They help us stay connected and grow stronger together, even in the midst of disagreement. Let's talk about weekly check-ins, which I like to think of as our secret weapon for maintaining connection. The idea is simple. Dedicate a little time each week specifically for an emotional check-in. It's a powerful way to stay connected and prevent small issues from turning into bigger problems down the line. During these conversations, ask each other questions like, "Is there anything on your heart this week?" This invites your partner to share what's really going on inside them. Also ask, "Did you feel loved and prioritized by me?" to make sure they know they matter. And don't hesitate to ask, Is there something I could do differently? Because that shows you're open to growth and improving the relationship. The key here is honesty and openness. These conversations serve as a reminder that your partner's feelings are important and deserve attention. When you make this a regular habit, it not only prevents misunderstandings, but also strengthens your emotional bond. Remember, consistent check-ins are a simple yet effective way to nurture trust and love, keeping your relationship healthy and resilient over time. Final thoughts. Love alone is not enough to sustain a relationship. What truly keeps a partnership strong are qualities like empathy, respect, accountability, and the willingness to repair intentionally. It's important to remember that conflict is inevitable, but disconnection is a choice. When handled with maturity, conflict can actually become a tool that brings you closer. But if handled poorly, it can push you further apart. So today, I want you to ask yourself some key questions. Do I make it safe for my partner to bring me their hurts? Do I listen to truly understand, or am I just defending to protect my ego? Am I willing to apologize, repair, and rebuild trust, even when it's uncomfortable? Because the future of your relationship really depends on honestly answering these questions. It's about creating a partnership where both of you feel safe, understood, and committed to growth.